To the workshop portion of our meeting. I'm going to begin with the board president's report. It's that time of year where we're going to begin the superintendent's evaluation. I want to get an early start on it. And I've spoken to Mr. McCarthy, and as in the past years, our vice president is going to be handling the evaluation. He is going to be using New Jersey School Boards Association, the template that they have, as well as consulting with the field rep, Dr. Tim Teahan, and the New Jersey School Board Association resources. At the next meeting, Mr. McCarthy, if we can possibly work on some dates and deadlines.
Absolutely.
That's good? All right, terrific.
Yes, Madam President, I will take care of that.
Thank you. And the second thing I have is that SEPTA has reached out to all of our board members in regards to special education excellence, to the Special Education Excellence Award. And 3 board members have responded, Mrs. Gilman, Mrs. McGovern, and Mr. Dalton. So I have packets for you up here. And thank you for volunteering to do that. It's really a great night. And I believe that the ceremony is going to be on May 8th at 7 p.m. at the intermediate school, and our board is welcome to go. And that concludes my report. And we will move on to, was it me or you? Okay, superintendent's report.
Okay, thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I'll make a short report and then turn it over to the more important event of the evening. But I would just like to remind everyone that school is closed this coming Monday and Tuesday. And also, I've had some questions about this. I just want to clarify for everyone that because we did use 2 weather-related school closings this year, there will be no change to the school calendar. And so the last day of school and the TOIS and OTHS graduations are scheduled for June 21st this year, and there is no change to that calendar. If we were going to change the calendar, we normally would do it at this meeting, but because we use those 2 weather-related school closings, the calendar is correct as is. And I wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And also this month in Ocean Schools, we're celebrating autism acceptance. Across the district, we have many different activities planned, including a district-wide initiative with SEPTA to wear a similar T-shirt every Friday. Many staff members were seen wearing these shirts last Friday. We also had our preschool parades in all 3 schools and a number of different activities centered on promoting autism acceptance. And this evening, I'm very proud to bring a presentation from our Wayside School about one of the things, although there are many, that make Wayside School great. I'm going to ask Ms. Palea and Ms. Amy Steckhan to come on up and start their presentation. I'd also like to recognize Mrs. Hanson, who's here too, in support, and Ms. Vona of the program. And I will turn it over to Ms. Palea at this point, and she can introduce all of her helpers here.
They're going to introduce themselves.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. And Mrs. Conway, I think you can move to the presentation at this point. Thank you.
Ready?
Okay, good evening. My name is Amy Steckhan. I'm the district special education instructional coach, and I serve all 5 of our district schools. When this role was crafted, I knew in its first year that I wanted to focus on improving our inclusive practices and enhancing opportunities for peers to work together. In addition, our district initiatives and practices throughout the year have increased education and awareness to students and staff, celebrated neurodiversity, and built community partnerships with some great local organizations that support individuals with disabilities. It's an honor this evening to share this wonderful program with you. Spartan Buddies has transformed the way our students interact and support one another both in and out of the classroom. I want to note that many students are part of this initiative, and the group I brought with me tonight is just a small piece of our enormous team. I have selected some outstanding participants that are eager to showcase the wonderful ways Wayside has paved the way for future success and strong school culture for students with varying abilities. In addition to the wonderful Wayside students, this program would not be possible without the support of our leader, Ms. Colea, our innovative related arts teachers, who we have some here with us tonight, Mrs. Packler, our librarian, Mrs. Lee, our art teacher, and Mrs. Simek, who is our music teacher, she couldn't be with us tonight. I would also like to thank my administration in special education, Assistant Superintendent Hanson, as well as my supervisors, Kristen Bona and Kelly McHale, for all the support. And finally, the Wayside staff and wonderful instructional assistants who support the students each and every day and never say no to my crazy ideas. So without further ado, off script, I always, even in the classroom, thought nothing's better than seeing it firsthand from the kids. So I hope you enjoy. They're going to present for you tonight.
Good evening. We would like to thank the Board of Education, Superintendent Weldon, District Administration and teachers, our families, and Ocean Township community members for giving us the chance to show you all about our Spartan Buddies program at Wayside School.
We would like to take a moment to introduce ourselves. I'm Cece Tortorello.
Rylan Paulson, Duke Paciello,
Well, Kelly. Sloan Fuller. Madison Balmer. Landon Doler. Lexi Black.
Hi, I'm Carter.
Hi, I'm Robin. Hi, my Owen. My name's Sophia Stekan, and this is my friend Abby. Say hi, Abby. Hi. Can I go back now?
Wayside School presents our inclusionary learning experience, Spartan Buddies. Students in grades 2 through 4 with varying abilities are learning to work together, communicate effectively, and build positive peer relationships alongside one another in special area classes.
With the support of our staff, students engage and make connections to peers. Together, these outcomes foster a strong, inclusive, and empowering school community at Wayside School, making it a place for all.
Every Wednesday, the students in Spartan Buddies work together to complete art projects. In the art room, we practice many skills like cutting, sorting materials, using different supplies, and socializing. This helps our young learners build on their skills and meet some new friends.
Please advance 2 slides.
Art is a fun place to be with our buddies because we get to make lots of fun things.
Here, now we can get it. You can go back. Yeah, go ahead. Go back. Go ahead.
This month, we worked on signs to post around school to remind our Wayside community that we acknowledge and support Autism Acceptance Month. If you visit Wayside School this month, you will see some amazing posters on display.
One of the best things about working with our buddies in art is that we get to be creative together.
Please advance to the next slide.
Music is on Thursdays. In music, we practice movement, sing theme songs together, explore instruments, and help each other learn about concepts like rhythm. Many of the buddy pairs really get to see what each other are interested in. Music is a universal language, and it's great to have the experience of helping one another.
Come here. Do you love music?
Yeah.
Tell me why. You love music.
And then we take.
You love music, why? Tell them.
It's fun.
It's fun. Okay. Good job. Okay, please advance.
Fridays are for library. We start off by greeting our buddies and playing get to know each other games. It's fun because we all get to participate. Then the fun continues with reading stories and doing fun projects. Most recently, buddy pairs are working together on STEM activities that turn on our creative thoughts. This time gives us a chance to interact with our peers in ways we never have before. We learn so much about each other. I learned that kids have interests like mine, and we can use that to build stronger peer relationships. It's more important for the kids to be able to communicate with one another so we can help each other. Mrs. Hackler?
One of the examples of what we did was I read a book, Not a Box. And with their buddies, they went through the process of figuring out what could they make from a box. And we have things like school buses, because one child loves school buses. Another one loves cats, so she made a cat. We have a hot air balloon, a rocket ship, a TV, and a castle rocket. And they all worked together and created it and put it together. And it was just a whole lot of fun, I think. At least I had fun.
Yeah. Please advance to the next slide.
Spartan Buddies has made our school community an accepting place. Not only are we getting to know our buddies in special area classes, but we are also connecting at lunchtime and recess too. In other programs, we get pencils, certificates, and stickers for participating, but Spartan Buddies is different. Mrs. Steckon reminds us the best reward is the warm feeling in our hearts. Now that you know some things about our program, we want to share some cool facts. This program is the first of its kind in Ocean Township. We hope to continue its success around town. Over 100 students are signed up this year to be a part of Spartan Buddies. Parents get weekly emails summarizing our experiences with Miss Pelea gives shout outs to incredible includers each Monday on the morning announcements. When Spartan Buddies communicate with one another, we use words, sign language, communication devices, and nonverbal gestures, just to name a few. We hope you enjoyed our presentation. It has been our pleasure to tell you all about the wonderful ways Wayside School has become more inclusive this year.
How good was that? All good, awesome. Every one of you. I can't tell you how this has transformed our school. I mean, my vision was just for students that don't usually interact to high five each other in the hall, to give a shout out. And it totally has opened the eyes of all students, staff, and the special area people have embraced what's going on and have taken the program to a whole different level. I can't be more proud because Wayside. All right, thank you, everybody. That was absolutely amazing. We are so proud of you all. Great job, great job.
Yes, that concludes my report.
That was an amazing report as well then. With that, we are going to move on to,
We'll go to the next section of the meeting, but if you were planning to maybe not stay till the end, this would be a good time to make your way out. Thank you so much, parents. We know we're in this together. Thank you so much. Great job, Spartans. Good job, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
okay, everyone, I think we are gonna begin with Mr. Hastings with the School Business Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a short report. We submitted the tentative budget for 24-25 to the County Department of Ed office for review by the County Business Administrator. The budget was approved over our spring break. We placed the advertisement that appeared in this last Friday's Asbury Park Press. And I wanted to remind everybody our public presentation will be on our next meeting on April 30th.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, we will move on to the public comment section. All motions are posted on the district website. At this point in the meeting, we will now conduct the first of two public comment sessions. The first session will be open for public comments on agenda items only, and the second session will be at the end of the meeting and can be on any topic. Would anyone from the public like to comment on any agenda item at this time? Anyone in the room? Ms. Conway, is there anyone in the queue?
Good evening, Madam President. There are no commenters in the queue.
Thank you very much. We will move on to action items. Mr. McCarthy.
Move to approve items 7.1 and 7.2. Do I have a second?
Second.
For the approval of items 7.1 and 7.2. Mr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Dam,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman,
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. McGovern,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mrs. Talarico,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
and Mrs. Parlomas.
Yes. Thank you. Personnel, Ms. McGovern.
I'd like to move for approval items 8.1 to 8.9. May I have a second?
Second.
For approval of all items 8.1 through 8.9. Questions, comments? Mr. Dalton?
I apologize.
No issue. I would just like to comment on Mrs. DeSanctis's retirement. We talk a lot in board meetings about the opportunity for education to start at the home. She's not only an individual who taught in this district for as long as she did, but she raised 3 Spartans who came up through our school district. I had the good fortune of spending many weekends at her home, and education was always at the center of whatever we did in her house. And so she did a great job of contributing to my growth as a young man in this district. And I think she's a wonderful woman, and I'm sorry to see her leave us, but I wish her fair winds and following seas.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Hastings?
This is for all items 8.1 through 8.9. Mr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Dam,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman,
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. McGovern,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mrs. Talarico,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Parlomas.
Yes,
All items carry.
thank you. Financial Management and Resource Services, Mr. Weinstein.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move for approval 9.1 and 9.2 and any discussion around 9.3 to 9.6.
Second.
So I think we just want to vote on 9.1 and 9.2, right?
Is there any questions on either of those two? No?
No.
Okay,
So this is for 9.1 and 9.2.
Correct.
Mr. Dalton, Yes. Mrs. Dam,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman,
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. McGovern,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mrs. Talarico,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
and Mrs. Parliamus.
Yes.
Those two items carried.
So Jeff, is there anything you'd like to say about 9.3 to 9.6 at all? Or does anybody have any questions about those or anything you want to say, Jeff?
Yes, I would just point out two things. On the safety grant, this is an annual application the district makes to through our insurance carrier, New Jersey Schools Insurance Group, and through the sub fund, which is the Monmouth Ocean County Shared Services Insurance Fund. Each year we get various amounts of funds that can be utilized for safety improvements throughout the district. We are going to move forward with that application, and we'll look at district safety needs and put those into the application. One of the things we are looking at is the former grant that we put in through the community policing grant that we did not receive. So we'll look at those items and see what we can incorporate into this amount, but this is significantly less than what that was. So we will certainly not cover all those things. The second issue I just wanted to point out for the board in 9.5 is that we are approving next meeting we'll be approving Sodexo to renew their contract for next year. The prices you see here are not the prices we charge our students. These are prices charged by Sodexo to the district.
That was good. That was going to be my question. I thought that was what we were charging. Thank you for clarifying that.
Right.
Ms. McGovern?
On the Sodexo, I know that every year we get these numbers. We also sometimes get what they're charging deal to make sure that the prices are the same or, sometimes that's up since it goes through our kitchen. Can we just have that number if possible, if you don't mind?
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Any questions? Mr. McCarthy?
I just wanted to, it's a quick point of inquiry. We put the major contract out to bid last year.
Yes, this is our first year under the new contract.
Yeah, so this is not one that went out to bid. This is just approving an increase to the existing contract.
This is a renewal for next year of the same vendor, and we can do that up to 5 years.
Okay. So we don't normally, it's not normally our practice to put that out to bid.
No.
Thank you.
Ms. Dam?
So, as Mr. Hastings said, so this is what they're charging us. Is the increase going to then affect what we're charging the students?
Well, each year the state puts out a range of pricing that they suggest districts charge
Okay,
for breakfast and lunch to their students for full price. They require us to be within a certain range of that price, whether it's a little lower or a little higher. I believe in the past, we've slowed the increases or reduced the increases to lessen the impact of those prices. And in speaking with Sodexo, the tool that the state puts out for us to evaluate those prices is not yet available, but they're looking for that in the month of April. So we'll know those student prices and we'll approve the student prices probably in May.
okay, and just to piggyback on that, if a price, let's say we have to increase it, right? If a price gets too high for a student, a parent can let us know or let the school district know that, and we can do something about that, because if we're forced to increase it, but they can't afford that, how do we resolve that?
Right, so the state and the federal government puts out through the National School Lunch Program, they annually update the guidelines for qualifying for free and or reduced price meals. So we'll certainly update that. And the state has another program in place right now that helps offset some of those costs.
Great.
But we can't guarantee any particular person would, qualify.
Mr. Weinstein?
Are the prices for all the districts the same prices that they're charging? Or do they vary?
District to district?
District to district, yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head. I would think different districts have different needs and different economic circumstances based on their demographics. However, that does then work into the percent of free and reduced population that they have. So I can check on that for you.
Well, the actual price for the meal should same meal should be same price, right?
Perhaps, again, I can't commit to that
Just-
answer one way or the other.
I'm just kind of,
Yeah, I don't know either, but there could be some variation to the offerings, like the contract that the district
Right,
enters
so-
into with food service.
Are you talking about the charge for the student on any particular meal that they would
well,
pay?
I actually, I guess what I was.
So if we look at neighboring districts, perhaps,
Yeah.
the lunch that's served in Asbury Park may be different than the lunch that's served in Wall Township versus Ocean Township.
Yeah,
So those prices may not be similar in terms of based on what's being served.
okay. Okay.
But again, I'll follow up and get an answer for
So
you.
do you mind if I keep going for a second?
No, go ahead.
So I can't remember, but this was a couple years ago where we asked to go out to bid. Right?
Last
Last year.
Your memory's going back to.
So it was last year we did this. So are we locked into them for 5 years, or it's just our ability to renew for every year for 5 years?
So the state has a very prescriptive method of bidding food service management companies.
Yeah,
And that's a very involved process, needs a lot of lead time. So the state does allow us to renew for 5 years. However, if we're dissatisfied with the service of any particular company at any given point, we can then go out to bid before that contract expires.
okay. Okay, thanks.
I'm sorry, one more question. And I probably can figure it out myself if I look through the contract, but I feel like last year, years ago in the contract, I don't know if it was the contract or it was just the Sodexo program. When they did and this is not based on this, but when they used to do where the kids cooked and it was a competition, I can't remember the name of it right now.
Wonderful.
Young chefs.
Thank you, Young Chefs. Sorry to point. And I believe we were talking to them about bringing it back. And it did not come back last year. So I just would be interested if we're in the contract at any point to see if that's part of the contract is something that was a service that was supposed to be done. If not, how do we start that again? I think that students really enjoyed that. Staff enjoyed it. Board members enjoyed it. It was the last day we did it was the
Right
day before
before
COVID.
COVID.
Literally the day we did it and the next day we shut down.
Yeah.
So if we can find out if that's something that's coming back to Sodexo or if it was in our contract and we should be getting that service, I would just be interested to know.
Or so we can check the contract and see if that's in the contract. It's also sometimes based on participation. So if you have a very low participation one year, they may discuss not continuing it the following year. And then some of the bidding specifications and requirements come into question, and it may not apply to this particular program. But sometimes there's a feeling that in order to keep the playing field level for all companies that may want to apply, whether they be large or small, that the districts not put in extras into their bid specs. So, but we'll check and see what's in
We
there.
need to see if they're ready to start it back up again. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Schneider.
The cost for breakfast, the fixed cost for breakfast and lunch, is that an annual cost per student?
That's a meal cost per meal.
So if you were to buy today, if you went up to buy breakfast this morning,
For the whole year?
well, it goes day by day.
Right, so if you were to go in this morning,
Yeah.
I got you.
if you were gonna go in this morning and get breakfast at Exo with charges, $2.52.5.
I wasn't, so it seems very small, so I was curious to see what the concern of the board, this like the current past members was around Sodexo's contract, because 1% CPI seems reasonable in this economy, and I didn't know if you guys were thinking the quality of the food's not as good as it should be considering the cost, or is there better options out there?
I didn't have a problem with the cost. I just,
I just haven't-
yeah, I think we just, no, I know.
I was more just curious if they were the same, because if there's fluctuations, we probably should know why the fluctuations, right?
Yes, and I believe the letter that's attached, they discuss CPI and the increase of food costs over the past year as their primary reason for increasing this fee.
Okay, anyone else? All right, we will move on to instruction and education and student activities. Ms. Gilman?
Certainly, Madam President, I'd like to move to approve items 10.1 to 10.4, curriculum writing, internship, PD, and our school field trips. Any questions or discussion?
Second,
Anyone have any questions? No?
So items 10.1 through 10.4, Mr. Dalton,
Yes.
Mrs. Tim,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilman,
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. McGovern,
Yes.
Mr. Schneider,
Yes.
Mrs. Talarico,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
Yes.
Mrs. Parliamus.
Yes. Okay, is there any old business from the board? Is there any new business? All right, at this time, we'd like to take public comment on any item. Anyone in the room? Ms. Hayes?
Good evening, Alex Hayes from Oakhurst. Somebody just said, I wasn't really concerned about the prices of these luncheons or lunches. 1% increase isn't the problem. It's $4.60 for the price of a lunch. And in order to get free or reduced lunch in this town, you need to make $55,000 roughly or less. The average family making even $100,000 a year, $4.60 times several kids per day is too expensive. A quick Google search, and while I'm just sitting here, Wall Township, Ewing Schools is $3.30. These are only the quickest ones that came up for lunch. $3.30 for the high school, $3.10 for the elementary schools, and breakfast in Ewing Township, New Jersey through this year is $1.95. So I think you guys should maybe be concerned about the price of school lunches. And I don't believe the 1% increase is that big of a deal because they are probably having prices go up, but why different districts are paying different prices is beyond me. I'm curious, there's been several phone system down email blasts throughout the district in the last month, whereas either an entire school sent out a blast saying the school's phones are down or the whole district has been down. So I'm just wondering what's the status of that and why does that keep happening? I'm also curious, we had a number of substitutes on the agenda today. I know each district has like different levels. Wondering if we have a minimum of 60 credits per substitute. And some of these questions I don't mind following up afterwards. The safety grant, as Mr. Hastings was mentioning, would be nice if we could get, some of those things that folks have been asking for years for, like district-wide remind, other ways to e-blast parents and families with some of that grant money. From what I could tell, there was a termination added to the agenda after there was an employee suspension. You know how you guys update the agenda in the afternoon, the day of the meeting. So that's curious. And I think my last comment here is, well, two comments, I'm sorry. How nice you guys are starting the superintendent evaluation. Kelly's doing a fantastic job, much better than her predecessor, who you guys did not even do a superintendent evaluation for. So I hope you guys actually do one this year. I'd like to know where the summer camp that was going to go to Wanamassa decided if they are going to any school or district. That would have been a nice $250,000 chunk of change. And I think that's it for right now.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the room? Ms. Conway, is there anyone in the queue?
Yes, Madam President, there are a couple of commenters. Our first one is Tiffany Fisher. Please go ahead.
Hi,
Hello.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. As many of you know, all four of my children are on the autism spectrum. I want to take this time to discuss the lack of involvement from the district during Autism Acceptance Month. It is nice to wear t-shirts and have preschoolers march in a parade, but I guarantee if you ask a 3 or 4-year-old what autism is, they don't know. I have asked, begged, pleaded over many years to incorporate teaching of famous people on the autism spectrum. It hasn't been done. My daughter had collaborated, designed, and sold a dress internationally at the age of 6. My son knew every country and their capitals, US presidents, and species of dinosaurs by age 5. My other daughter also had numerous art shows throughout Monmouth County in different galleries, starting at age 9. My other son knows every working of every Muppet on Earth. He could be the next Jim Henson, who, by the way, is on the autism spectrum. These kids, along with many others, are being ignored. Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, Henry Ford, and numerous others should be discussed this month. I have done my part. My children know all of these individuals. The district needs to teach typical children because they are the ones who bully our children for being different. I will leave you with a quote from my 9-year-old daughter. They don't teach us about famous people with autism because they don't think that they are important, because they don't think that we who have autism are important. Inclusion matters. Have a good night.
Thank you for your comments, Mrs. Fisher. Ms. Conway?
Yes, our next commenter is Christina Stoniker. Please go ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to say two things. Number one, I thought the Wayside Buddies presentation was absolutely amazing. So they all did a great job, and I love seeing that they're doing that in the school. And then I did have a question about the prices of the Sodexo. It says it was a 1% increase, but currently a lunch is $3.25. So that's not a 1% increase. So I just want to know if that's the actual projected price.
Well, we can't answer your question at the board meeting, tonight at the board meeting, but please reach out to Ms. Weldon.
Actually, I have a third comment. I really do not like that you don't answer questions, because as a school, in a school community, every single person has the right to know and is encouraged to ask questions. We're told, as we tell our students, there is no stupid question. You're encouraged to ask questions so that everybody can learn. So if I'm the only one receiving an email with that answer, then the rest of the community is not receiving the information. So that's just a comment.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Stoniker. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else, Mrs. Conway?
No, Madam President, there are no further commenters.
Okay, Ms. Hayes?
I just wanted to echo what Ms. Stoniker said. Thank you for speaking up about the lack of answering questions, because the answers then get, in a silo. Mr. Hastings would also know that the Asbury prices for schools are completely free, because 100% of Asbury schools are free and reduced. If you want to look at Neptune High School pays $3.75 for lunch, middle school $3.50, elementary school $3.25. Once again, I'd like to reiterate, going up to $4.60 is ridiculously expensive for a town that's 40% reduced free and reduced lunch. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, being that there are no other comments, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting. May I please have a second? Mr. McCarthy, thank you. Meeting is adjourned.